Your team is having meetings and your team still has no idea what to do next. Now that's not a people problem, that's a meeting problem. And I'm going to fix that in the next few minutes. So when I was running my real estate company, we were doing meetings every single week. And I thought that meant that we were organized. But after every meeting, my DMs, my Slack would blow up. Agents were pinging me with questions we had just talked about, to-dos, that existed that nobody owned, decisions that were made in the room and somehow unmade by that Tuesday. And here's the thing, it wasn't because my team was bad. It's because our team meetings had no structure and no accountability. There was no connection between what we were talking about in that room and what actually needs to happen in the business out there. Sound familiar? Yeah, right? You leave a meeting and 2 hours later, someone's asking you a question that meeting should have answered. Or you finish a meeting and you generally can't tell me, right, or yourself, what 3 things your team is doing this week because of it. And that was us. Until I built a different kind of meeting. One that just wasn't communication. It created ownership alignment and accountability every single week. I'm gonna walk you through the exact structure. It's 6 parts, max 60 minutes for the meeting. And if you run this right, your Slack, your DMs, your emails go quiet. The team stops needing you to hold their hand, and every person in that room knows exactly how their work connects to your bigger goal. But before we get into it, if you've been feeling like your business is running you instead of the other way around, I do free business consultations. Now we'll find exactly where you're stuck. The link is in the description below. And more importantly, there's no shame in admitting you need help. The most successful people in the world have someone to bounce ideas off of. So just make sure you have someone too, okay? All right, now let's build your meeting. Now most business owners have a meeting problem, and it actually shows up in 2 ways that are killing their productivity. The first one is the got a minute culture. Team reaches out to you constantly between meetings, after hours, before maybe even you've had your coffee in the morning. Every question just feels like urgent, and every ping interrupts your focus. And the reason it keeps happening is simple. It works. They ask, you answer, so they keep on asking. Now the second problem is more subtle and honestly more dangerous. You're already running meetings, but your team walks out of those meetings and they don't know what they own. They don't know what's most important this week. And they definitely don't know how the thing in their to-do list connects to where the company is trying to go this quarter. That disconnect between the daily work and the bigger goal is what creates drift. You have busy teams going in different directions. People are working hard on the wrong things, and an owner who has to keep pulling everyone back on course because the meeting just didn't do it right. The structure I'm about to show you fixes both. It eliminates the noise between meetings, and it makes sure that everything your team is working on is tied directly to what the business actually needs right now. Here's the meeting structure. 6 parts, 60 minutes. Here's how it runs. Part 1 is positive focus for 5 minutes. You open every morning with one win. One person shares something good in the business, with their client, in their personal life. It doesn't have to be big. Now, for some of you out there, you may be thinking this is too much fluff or it's soft. Please don't sleep on this, and definitely don't skip it. It's a culture tool. It sets the tone so people walk in ready to solve problems, not ready to defend their week. The meeting starts with more energy, not anxiety, and you'll be surprised how much faster a meeting moves when it starts from a place of momentum rather than feeling stressed. Part number 2, this is the financial snapshot, and again, this is 5 minutes. Hit or miss. That's it. You're looking at key numbers for the week. Revenue, pipeline, contacts, clients, whatever your business runs on. And the discussion around that is simple. Are we on track or not? No editorials. At my real estate company, that meant looking at set, met, sign. How many meetings did you set? How many prospects actually met with you, and how many did you sign up as clients? No long explanations, right? No excuses, just hit or miss. Now here's why this matters for alignment. When your team sees the numbers every single week, they stop operating in a vacuum. A sales agent who knows the team is behind on revenue for the quarter makes different decisions than one who has no idea where the business stands. So financial awareness creates ownership. All right, part 3. Quarterly priorities. 5 minutes again, right? Every quarter, you and your leadership team set 3 to 5 major priorities, the big rocks your business needs to move forward. Now think, recruiting goals, system builds, revenue targets, new market expansions. Every week, you spend 5 minutes on one question. Are you on track or are you off track? That's it, no presentations. Something's off track, it doesn't get solved right here. It goes on the issues list, which we'll get to in a second. Now this is the alignment piece that most meetings completely skip. Every week your team is looking at the company's biggest priorities. Every week they're asking themselves, consciously or not, is what I'm working on actually moving this forward? And that question changes behavior over time. Now part number 4, this is important, 7-day to-do list. Again, 5 minutes. At the end of every meeting, each person commits to a specific task that they're gonna complete before the next one. At the top of the meeting, it's basically another roll call. Done or not done. That's the whole check-in. No judgment, no excuses, just done or not done in front of the entire team. And here's the critical part. Those to-dos are not random tasks. They're directly connected to the quarterly priorities we talked about before that you just reviewed. If a task doesn't move one of those big rocks forward, it either goes in the parking lot or it doesn't make the list. That one filter, does this move our quarterly goal forward, is what separates a team that's busy from a team that's making progress. So your people just stop filling their weeks with activity and start filling their weeks with actual impact to the business. Part number 5, issues list. Now this is going to be a longer part, the 30 minutes. This is the engine of the meeting and the biggest reason your Slack or DMs go quiet. Here's how it works. Throughout the week, anyone on the team can add an issue to a shared list. Not an urgent message to you, not a tap on the shoulder. They add it to the list and it gets handled at the meeting. That just shift alone, put it on the issues list, reduced my personal interruptions dramatic because people knew it's going to be addressed. They just had to wait to that Monday. Now at that meeting, you work through the list using 3 steps. Identify, discuss, and solve. What is the real issue, not the service complaint? What does the team think? And then decide, delegate, or drop it. Every issue gets resolved before you close, and this is where the structure protects you from getting pulled into the weeds. If an issue comes up that isn't connected to your quarterly priorities, guess what? It doesn't get solved in that meeting. It goes into the parking lot. And the parking lot was just something I added to the structure after team members kept on trying to add items that weren't going to progress the quarterly goals. And I wanted to acknowledge their contributions to the business, but also create a culture of discipline. So we had already decided what the 3 most important things were for the business for that quarter. We didn't want to sidetrack the business. So it's a section at the bottom of the agenda for anything that matters, but it's just not a right now thing, right? Not urgent, not aligned with the goals. It's not ignored. It's not forgotten. It's just parked. And we come back to it when the time is right. By the way, bonus tip, I created onboarding videos on this topic and other important systems such as this one. Team members needed to watch and understand as part of their orientation week. So you got to set expectations up front and have set standards that were repeatable. So this part 5 of the meeting system is what keeps your 30 minutes of issues time from becoming a 90-minute spiral. The parking lot gives you a place to put things down without dismissing them. And it trains your team to think in terms of priority, not just urgency. All right, part 6, closing the meeting. And that's going to be 10 minutes long. 3 things to end every meeting. 1, recap the to-do list out loud so every person hears what they own before they leave the room. 2, cascading messages. What does the rest of the organization need to know that came out of this meeting? And 3, rate the meeting from 1 to 10. Now the rating is not a formality. It's a feedback loop. If your meetings are consistently getting 6s, then something's broken and you need to find out what and fix it. The best teams I've coached get their meeting ratings to 9s consistently because the structure earns trust. Okay, well that's the system. Here's what I saw change inside my own company almost immediately. The got-a-minute conversations dropped significantly. Not because I told people to stop messaging me, but because the meeting answered the questions before they even became messages. Now people started saying, I'll put it on the issues list. And that phrase became part of the culture. But the bigger shift was in the ownership. When your team reviews the company's quarterly priorities every single week, and when their personal to-do list has to connect to those priorities, they stop waiting to be told what to do and actually do it. They start making decisions that align with the goal because they know the goal. Week after week, it becomes the lens that they see their work through. And the meetings themselves, well, my team stopped dreading them because they weren't a status report or a lecture. They were a problem-solving session where things actually got resolved and everyone left knowing exactly what to do next and who had to do it. So here's your takeaway. 6 parts, 60 minutes every week. Positive focus, financial snapshot, quarterly priorities, 7-day to-dos, issues list, and then close. Now run it with discipline, keep the to-dos tied to your quarterly goals, and then use the parking lot to protect your time. And watch what happens to your team after 4 or 5 weeks of just doing this consistently. Your people will stop asking you everything, right? They'll start owning their work and you'll finally have a meeting that actually builds the business instead of just talking about it. Okay, if you watch this and you're thinking, I don't even know where to start because there are just too many things that feel broken in my business right now. Well, that's exactly the conversation I have in my free consultations. Now we'll get on a call, I'll ask you the right questions and together, we'll find the one constraint that's costing you the most. Again, the link is in the description below. Just schedule it, it's completely free. And you know what? It might be the clearest hour you have had in months. Also, please hit like if this gave you something to work with. Subscribe if you want more of this type of content every week. And share with another business owner who's still running meetings that aren't going anywhere. Because you know what? They need it too. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.